Players are using penises to solve puzzles in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Well, I think that's all that needs to be said as an intro for this week's show. Surely it can only get classier from here. I'm Lorne, and here are 10 things we learned this week. I suppose since we kicked off with Zelda, we should stay there for a moment, because my word, there was a lot of news about Tears of the Kingdom this week. Firstly, we learned that with the release of the game, the queues for the game itself were mammoth, with lines recorded going for blocks in New York City. Then we learned that aside from being critically acclaimed, gamers started building within the game. And let me tell you, there's some seriously awesome and hilarious things being built using Link's new Zonai powers and the Ultra Hand ability. Everything from Gundams to tanks to laser-armed planes, all of which are freaking awesome. Some players, meanwhile, have gone ultra low end and have started building literal bridges to traverse the land of Hyrule. Some poor gamers just wanted a little getaway home, but sadly, their constructions imploded. And then we have the poor forest spirits known as the Koroks, which have been a target of the evil sods among the fan base, with players coming up with new and inventive ways of blowing them to Kingdom Come. Having launched on the 12th of May, Tears of the Kingdom has gone on to garner many perfect scores from critics, and it seems the fan base are only scratching the surface of what the game has to offer, so be prepared for even more Hyrule hijinks to come. This week we learned that for all those Fortnite players who love the thrill of winning a match but can't shake the feeling that you might be the very best, like no one ever was, then good news, because this week Fortnite is launching a brand new ranking mode. Dubbed Ranked Battle Royale and Zero Build, the Fortnite team confirmed, quote, that players will be competing against others across the globe to reach Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Elite, Champion, and Unreal ranks, each with tiers within them. Plus, if you reach the Unreal rank, you keep it for the duration of the season no matter how you play from there on in. However, with the launch of Ranked, Arena Mode is getting the X. Plus, your rank in the next Battle Royale season will be a factor in your eligibility for epic hosted tournaments. So there you go, if you've been waiting for the chance to prove to your friends that you really are a Fortnite master, testing your mettle against the very best, then as of May the 16th, now's your shot. This week we learned that after months of due diligence and investigation due to concerns over Microsoft's potential expansion into the cloud gaming market, the European Commission has approved the Big M's proposed $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. However, there is a slight caveat to this approval. Microsoft have been advised that they will be required to bring Activision Blizzard's most popular games to competing cloud platforms if the acquisition of the latter by the former is ultimately successful. Microsoft President Brad Smith tweeted, quote, European Commission has required Microsoft to license popular Activision Blizzard games automatically to competing cloud gaming services. This will apply globally and will empower millions of consumers worldwide to play these games on any device they choose. A nice touch to make it sound like it was something they wanted all along. However, if you're the kind of gamer that was concerned, much like Sony, that games such as Call of Duty would become Xbox exclusives, then worry not. At least for the next 10 years or so. Or if you live in the UK. This week we learned that sometimes in life, you have to do all that you can to dodge the bullets being fired at you. But sometimes, in rare circumstances, taking the bullet ends up being a lifesaver. This week we learned that 2007's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare map, Shipment, one of the smaller and more frantic levels, was left in the game by accident. Infinity Ward multiplayer design director Jeff Smith called the map the bane of his existence, claiming it was only intended as a split-screen map, back when that was a thing. Quote, our multiplayer lead at the time, when we shipped the game, forgot to pull it out, and there was no going back. That was truly an accident. An accident, it seems. They went on to repeat, as Shipment has become one of the game's favourite levels due to the unabashed chaos that ensues, and it's even made its way into other COD games such as Vanguard, the Modern Warfare reboots, and Call of Duty Mobile. It's even been recreated by fans of other game series within their franchises. Makes you wonder, did Google release the Stadia by mistake and just forget to pull it? Because given all that's happened, how can we possibly rule it out? In other news concerning stuff left in a video game, this week we learnt that the developers for Resident Evil 4 may have foreseen interpersonal video communications, or even the impending apocalypse, but they never saw ultra-wide monitors coming. This week it emerged that the design of the in-game codec does not cover the character model of Leon Kennedy fully, and admittedly looks hilarious. Reddit user Jeffrey2084 shared an image of what a Resident Evil 4 codec call looks like when playing the game in widescreen, and since the image naturally isn't stretched, all you see is a big black rectangle on the right hand side of the screen and a static image of Leon's full character model peeking out of the side. Luckily, it is the full in-game character model, so no checking to see if Leon is hung like Ken if you want to stack the monitors vertically and link them top to bottom. But even so, the effect makes Leon look like he's selling kisses for $5 a pop at a stand, and the Resident Evil villains just can't get enough of the handsome devil. Next, we have what is becoming a recurring segment on the show, because this week we learned that the mods for The Elder Scrolls are not only changing the content within the game, but somehow the genre of the game as well. The first mod by Everglade is called Sirenroot, Deluge of Deceit, and attempts to bring a touch of the adventure puzzle genre. Well, the kind that doesn't involve matching the symbols to coloured Dragon Claw keys, giving players control over other characters, solving puzzles along the way. Quote, with influences from Tomb Raider and Dragon Age, you'll climb, dive, solve puzzles and sprint under timers, as well as control other characters, persuade, look for clues and determine the fate of others. And it even has 1,000 new sentences of voice dialogue, new NPCs with hand-sculpted faces, unique skin, hair, outfits, and even unique animations. And if you're in the mood for something a little bit more action-packed and retro, well, why not try Future Shock Weapons Daggerfall mod, which lets you wreak havoc on the game by arming you with more guns than the Terminator. Actually, as many guns as the Terminator, given the ranged weapons are ripped from the 1995 FPS Terminator Future Shock. It even has the Duke Nukem theme to get you adequately pumped to take on anything Tamriel has to throw at you. But I don't know. I used to be an adventurer like you, then I took a rocket-propelled grenade to the knee. Just isn't as catchy. This week we learned that everything is fine. It's fine! Everything is going to be fine. We think. At least that's according to Blizzard, as it relates to the highly anticipated Diablo 4. Associate Game Director Joe Pipaiora discussed the beta test Blizzard have been running over the last few months, and claims they have been the key to avoiding a disaster at launch comparable to the infamous Error 37 message that plagued its predecessor, Diablo 3. Quote, every one of these betas has been transformational in terms of our understanding of our own technical capacity and what we need to do to make that a smoother launch experience in general. So it's been great. He was also quick to point out that these betas were expressly for the purpose of fixing any bugs in the game, and not as a marketing beta or as a ploy to get people to buy into the game without the intention of actually fixing anything. The first open beta for Diablo 4 was made available to players who pre-ordered the game on the 17th of March, and to the rest of the fanbase on the 24th of March, with the full game release set for the 6th of June across all platforms. And I don't know about you, but I'm totally convinced that everything is fine. Everything is going to be fine. Maybe. This week we learned that even gaming Goliaths can be sued, lose those lawsuits, and when they do, they can pay a heavy price for their insolence. This week we learned that as a result of an Austrian court case that was finalised on the 7th of March 2023, which ruled and classified FIFA Ultimate Team card packs as illegal gambling, Sony have been ordered to pay a staggering, unfathomable, and ungodly sum of $364, not a penny less. Now, two things. Firstly, yes, the payment is a little on the low side for a company that had an annual revenue of over $80 billion last year. But this is just the first claim. Padronas, the law firm bringing the case, claims they have several hundred more clients lined up, and given the ruling in this first case, there's no reason why each complaint won't be upheld and won't be due a refund, costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Secondly, it's just Sony that are liable at the moment. FIFA and EA have no liability, given the court ruling made it clear that since Sony were the ones holding the purse, they're the ones holding the bag. Now, this isn't to say Xbox won't be next in the legal crosshairs, but for now, this is an own goal that we predicted back on DGN in 2020. Well worth a watch, if you have the time. This week we learned that Sega might be considering raising its game prices in line with many of its competitors to $70, arguing that on balance, the quality of games released in the modern era surpasses that of the past. Sega's CEO, Haruki Satomi, and CFO, Koichi Fukuzawa, have claimed they're not sold on the idea yet, merely considering it. However, the admission has sparked the now decade-old debate about the cost of top-tier games releases. The news follows a month where both Redfall and EA's Star Wars Jedi Survivor released in, shall we say, a less than stable condition, notwithstanding famous examples of games such as, Cyberpunk 2077 that released in an incredibly poor state. The move would not be without its risks, however, as data coming from Sony would seem to indicate that PS5 owners are buying fewer games in general since the $70 price point was introduced. Of course, this doesn't factor in the addition of free-to-play games, with microtransactions becoming a staple of the modern gaming diet, or subscription models Sony and Microsoft operate for the PlayStation and Xbox respectively. But I'm curious as to what you think about the proposed rise in prices and the complexity of the price point debate in gaming, so leave us your thoughts in the comment section below and let us know what you make of all of this. And finally this week we learned that if there's anything good to come out of the noble traditions of cockfighting in Crypto Bros, we're still waiting for it. And might be for a while yet before something good ever comes out of either of them. This week we learned that Mecha Fight Club, a game from Irreverent Labs fueled by NFT sales and based on the ethically sound principle of pitting, quote, hilarious figures in a cruelty-free combat sport, or mechanized NFT cockerels against each other in a fight to the death, has been cancelled, or as near as makes no difference. After a preview of the game dropped in September of 2022, the game raised over $40 million, which, given the state of NFTs at the time and since, was bloody good timing on their part. Now, however, the developer has taken the decision to pivot away from ever completing the game, it seems. Quote, it's time for Sol 4 Cox. We're repurchasing your mechabots and putting MFC into indefinite hibernation. This was a tough decision. And what are they pivoting to exactly? AI. More specifically, using machine learning to create short-form videos using images. Because of course they are the original little devils. Such sad news for customers of Mecha Fight Club, especially since their NFTs of mechanized cocks could have been kept forever as a little reminder of the sound investment they made, worth their weight in gold. Or FTX stock. I did promise it was only going to get classier at the start of the show, didn't I? We kicked off with a story about man meat, and we end on a story about cocks being cocks. So it would appear I have misspoken. But don't fret, because a new week is nearly upon us, and the Defunct Games website is looking better and better by the day, so why not go and check it out? Cyril's been working like a beaver on it. But for now, gamers and gamettes, that was 10 things we learned this week. Hey, thanks a lot for watching this edition of 10 Things We Learned This Week. If you like what you saw here, then you should know that we upload new features, reviews, and content almost every day. Plus, there's a whole playlist of these that you can go back and watch. Now here's the question I have for you. What did you learn this week? What with all the news of Tears of the Kingdom dominating the headlines, it was difficult to find news that wasn't Zelda related. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. In other news, it seems here that in my not at all hurriedly scribbled notes from Cyril, mentioned something about how we're doing an EGM ranks on Onimusha, Dino Crisis, and Devil May Cry in one episode? Well, that sounds awesome. I'm going to have to tune into that. And so should you. So be sure to click that subscribe button, the notification bell, the like bell, all of the bells to support what we're doing here. Until then,